In the dim light of a weapons factory in Bogota, steel slides into place with a kind of precision that only comes from decades of experience and necessity. This is not the tale of an iconic rifle from a well-known superpower, nor is it the story of an infamous sidearm that swept through every corner of the globe. Instead, this is the story of something quieter. Something born not from the glamour of battlefield legend, but from a nation's determined pursuit of technological and strategic self-reliance. This is the story of the Córdova Estandar, Colombia's own service pistol, a weapon that reveals as much about a country's identity as it does about its industrial evolution. In the age of globalized arms markets, where so many militaries rely on imported weapon systems from entrenched manufacturers, Colombia's choice to design and produce its own 919mm pistol was a strategic gamble. It was a response to a core challenge. How does a nation with a long history of internal conflict, geopolitical tension, and the need to equip its army, police, and security forces reduce dependence on foreign suppliers and build an indigenous capability that can be sustained, adapted, and trusted? The answer was found in steel, polymer, and sheer national will, in a pistol named for a hero whose own life was defined by resistance and self-determination. The story of the Córdova Estandar begins with a name. José María Cordova was a young officer in the South American Wars of Independence, a symbol of bravery, resilience, and tactical ingenuity. Colombia's decision to name its first domestically developed service pistol after him was no accident. It was a deliberate connection between a modern tool of defense and the spirit of a revolutionary era. The cultural weight of that choice carries through to every detail of the firearms design and production narrative, a reminder that weapons are never just machines, but artifacts of national identity and strategic intent. The government-owned Industria Militar de Colombia Indumil was tasked with turning that symbolic weight into tangible reality. Already experienced in producing licensed versions of the Galil rifle for Colombia's armed forces, Indumil had both the industrial infrastructure and the technical personnel to tackle the challenge of a service pistol. They were not simply reverse engineering an existing design. They were creating something that had to work reliably in harsh conditions, be easy to maintain, and reflect Colombia's unique operational needs. Building a pistol from the ground up was as much an engineering challenge as it was a philosophical statement about national capability. By 2013, the first prototypes of what would become the Cordova were being tested. Early versions encountered the kinds of teething problems familiar to all ambitious engineering projects, from ammunition feed issues to control ergonomics. Rather than abandon the effort, Indumil's engineers went back to the drawing board, recalling units in circulation, addressing feedback, strengthening components, and refining tolerances. What emerged was not just a corrected firearm, but proof of a maturing industrial base, a testament to iterative design and resilience under pressure. Production of the pistol's standard version, the Córdova Estandar, began in earnest in 2014 and has continued ever since, with tens of thousands of units now in use across various branches of Colombia's military and police forces. The standard model would later be joined by compact and tactical variants, each suited to different operational demands, from close-quarters engagements to formal-duty sidearm roles. At its core, the Córdova Estandar is a 919mm semi-automatic pistol. Built around a polymer frame with a modular fire control unit, a construction philosophy that mirrors trends in modern handgun design while remaining tailored to Colombia's specific industrial strengths. The slide design borrows meaningful elements from established platforms like the EMI Jericho, blending global firearm design wisdom with local engineering adaptations. Its double-action, single-action DAC hammer-fired mechanism with a Browning tilting barrel locking system gives it a balance of smooth trigger pull and reliable lockup under recoil. Yet beyond the technical specifications, the true significance of the Cordova lies in what it represents. In an era where small arms are often politicized symbols, Colombia's pursuit of a homegrown pistol was not about aggression or export dominance, but about sovereignty and self-reliance. In fields from Medellin to rural outposts along the borders, Soldiers and officers carrying the Cordova are reminded of a weapon born of their own soil, designed by fellow citizens and maintained with local expertise. This psychological and strategic impact, the ability for a nation to say, "We make this ourselves," resonates far beyond any ballistics chart. Consider the geopolitical pressures that shaped this choice. Colombia has weathered decades of internal conflict, guerrilla insurgencies, and the challenges of securing urban centers and rural landscapes alike. In such an environment, reliable standard-issue sidearms are not luxuries. They are essential tools of law enforcement and national defense. Dependency on external suppliers creates vulnerabilities, supply chain disruptions, foreign policy constraints, and fluctuating costs. By choosing to build its own service pistol, Colombia reduced these vulnerabilities and sent a clear signal of industrial ambition to both domestic and international audiences. The design evolution of the Cordova also mirrors Colombia's broader technological maturation. Early production models gave way to improved generations as feedback from active duty users informed adjustments. It's this kind of iterative refinement, engineers listening to soldiers, adapting designs, testing again, is the hallmark of a healthy and responsive defense industrial sector. It is a process that nations with decades of firearm manufacturing experience take for granted. For Colombia, it marked a profound step forward. It's important to understand that such innovation did not occur in isolation. The pistol's development was intertwined with a broader Colombian push towards self-sufficiency in defense production. Indumil's work on the Cordova ran parallel to other indigenous projects, from licensed rifle production to advanced tactical gear, each reinforcing the last. The synergy between these programs strengthened Colombia's defense ecosystem and reduced reliance on imports. But no story of a weapons development is complete without acknowledging the broader consequences and debates it invites. Critics of domestic weapons programs often point to the risks of normalizing firearms within society, the potential for misuse, and the ethical quandaries of a nation expanding its arsenal, even for defensive purposes. These questions are not unique to Colombia. They echo in capitals and parliaments around the world whenever militaries choose to invest in new hardware. The Córdova Estandar, for all its engineering achievements, exists within that broader conversation about the role of force, security, and the balance between deterrence and escalation. Still, the story of the Córdova Estandar is ultimately one of transformation. It is the tale of a nation deciding that it would no longer be merely a consumer of foreign arms, but a creator of tools that define its own defense capabilities. It is a narrative of engineers and technicians forging not just steel and polymer, but confidence, capability, and a legacy for future generations of Colombian defense innovation. As we look forward, questions linger. How will this indigenous pistol shape Colombia's future defense partnerships? Will it find acceptance beyond national borders? Can it inspire other countries to invest in their own industrial autonomy? These are not just questions about a firearm. They are questions about how nations choose to define their security, identity, and place in a world where the tools of war and peace are inseparable from the stories we tell about them. If you found this exploration of the Córdova Estandar compelling, take a moment to reflect on how technology and identity intersect in the weapons we build. Then, like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories behind the machines that have shaped our world.